Coach. Appreciate that. As a reminder for members of the media, if you have a question, just go to reactions, raise your hand. We'll start off with Shane. Shane?
Yeah, Coach. Curious with new technology this year, like the tablets on the sidelines, the helmet communication, has that changed at all how you manage putting people in the booth versus on the sideline, or have you changed any of that even after the season started, realizing maybe something worked a little differently than you thought?
Yeah, we have. I think with more access to the instant video and instant feedback, you don't need as many people up in the booth to watch the game. You rather have them interacting with their players, correcting the things. I always liked it as a coordinator to be down on the field, to be able to look him in the eye, to be able to talk to him, to see his expressions, his body language, as opposed to talking to him over a headset.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Shane. We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach Beck, we talked a little bit about some of the goals for the bye week this past week. How do you feel like that bye week was for your team? And do you feel like you're able to get some guys healthy and get some guys some additional reps in practice this past week?
Yeah, it was great. It couldn't have came at a better time. Our players had the opportunity to get off their feet a little bit, recover from injury. We've had quite a few. They had a chance to see their family. Some of them had a chance to go home, which with our early game that we played in August, they didn't get a chance to go home between the end of summer school and the start. So it had been almost since June. Some of them got a chance to get away for a little bit. So I thought that part was good. And then getting an opportunity to get a lot of young players to play and compete against each other and get that individualized coaching was you could never get enough of that, to be honest. So that part was really, really good for them.
Go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach, getting ready now. Conference play. You've got Old Dominion at home this weekend, but they've just came off a win at Bowling Green and really defended the run well. And you guys have had a lot of success running the ball so far this year. So, what are kind of your expectations for how you guys need to attack Old Dominion this weekend, especially on the ground?
Yeah, I think number one is they're a good football team. As you guys know, that every game that they've played seems like over the last, since I've been here anyway, is a one-score game. They're always in the games. They're always close. They play really good defense. They're very sound fundamentally. They know their system, right? They know how to play it, where to fit in the run game, and how teams may try to take advantage of them. So they do a tremendous job there. It's going to be a dogfight. There's no question about it. We as a staff and our players have a lot of respect for them and know that it's going to be a very tough football game. All games in the Sun Belt Conference will be, especially in the opening one, trying to make a statement. So we're just going to have to, do what we do in terms of running the football and our passing game and just the way we play. Like, the one thing that I've learned over the years as a coach, you don't want to try to change too much and give too much credit to the other team. Not talking about Old Dominion, but just in general, giving too much credit to the other team without even trying the things that made you successful. So we're going to continue to try to do the things that we do and go from there.
Go back over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, ODU's played a few different quarterbacks so far this year. Does that make it more of a challenge to prepare for them? And then maybe what did you see out of Colton Joseph, who came in and at the end of the game for ODU's second half this past week and obviously led them to their first victory of the year?
Yeah, all of them have done a good job. Wilson's been a mainstay for him for the last couple of years. I know that he left the game and not sure exactly his status or what happened, but when they brought Colton in, he did a really good job. He brings some juice to him. He's got some live legs and runs around and makes plays for him, certainly. And his ability to scramble, his ability to create on his own, he's got good quickness to him. Not that Wilson didn't do it, he did, but Colton seems to rely on that quite a bit.
I'll go over to Alan. Alan?
Yeah, hey, Coach. Just speaking of quarterbacks, your quarterback situation was a pretty competitive one in the preseason, as you were telling us. Are you happy with your quarterback play, and is Ethan firmly your starter?
Yeah, I am happy with our quarterback play. I think that when you look at it over the years that I've done this, we've run him some this year, probably a little bit more than we did last year. And, those hits add up sometimes, but I still like what he's doing. I think he's going to the right guys. We've missed some. Some of it's Ethan, some of it's receivers, because we have a new group out there with 11 new guys out of the 15. So all of the timing issues and things of that, you continue to work on to get better. Remember, it's not how we start, it's how we're going to finish. We got to continue to improve every week. We got to shore those things up, and it's what we work on. We do work on those things, and I like Noah. I think Noah's done a really good job. We have no fear if we have to play Noah or want to put him in the ball game that we'll miss a beat in any way, shape, or form with him going in there.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Going to Troy and really proud of our kids of finding a way to beat a really well coached, tough Troy team. Had a lot of adversity, defensive struggle. I thought both defenses played really well. We were able to bend, not break. We only had 22 snaps really in the first half. We had 2 ball control offenses going at it and 2 really good defenses going at it. And we just hung in there and found a way to win the game in the end. Just proud of our players, toughness. It's hard to go on the road and win college football games, much less at a place like Troy. So, big win, big moment really for our kids to go on the road with 73 new guys and find a way to win a game in the end. There's a lot of growth and development that we've got to continue to go through, and we just got to continue to get better as a team.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Jackson. Jackson?
Hey, Coach, this is Jackson from the Breeze, JMU student paper. Going into this game, it's going to be a big moment for your program, national television up against an undefeated JMU squad. What's the mindset that you want your guys to have going into this matchup?
Really, we just, when we got here in December, just 134, tough times, tough years. We've had the approach from day one, just one day at a time. We've got to focus on ourselves and we've just got to get better. Look, James Madison is one of the premier programs in this league. I think it's 23-5 the last 2 years and 4 games. They're extremely well coached. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Chesney, because I look at his path and where he's been, everything he's done, he's earned. And I think his team plays like that. They play disciplined. They play tough. They play for each other. It's a deal where it's the next game, and we're on a journey. We're 3-1. We've got a long way to go. We're trying to build this program at ULM, to really what James Madison has been for several years. So it's the next game up. It's the next opportunity for our guys. We've got goals where, we want to get in a bowl game. At ULM, we've been to one bowl game in the history of this program, and we didn't win it. This team wants to get to a bowl game and wants to win a bowl game and make history. We want to build this program into a conference championship program where we can win the West and compete for a conference championship. And those are our goals. The only way you get to a place like that, coming from where we're at, it's how much better can we get better today? And I know that's coach speak, but it's real. We made a lot of mistakes, a lot of crucial mistakes in that Troy game that'll get us beat, by James Madison and probably, beat up pretty good. They don't make mistakes. They execute in all 3 phases. So we've got to play at a high level, to have a shot in this one.
Thank you.
Go over to Joe. Joe?
Hey, Coach. Ahmad Hardy's obviously been a big part of your offense this fall. What have you kind of seen from his development and, the exciting player that he's been?
Well, we knew when we recruited him, we look for certain backs. in this offense. You know, we're a pistol offense, outside zone, downhill. We look for violent, tough runners, guys that are willing to run through the smoke, so to speak. And we saw that in Ahmad, and he's powerful. You know, he's tough. He's relentless. He's a true freshman. He's still green. He's growing and developing, but he embraces, uh, you know, growth and development. He really does. And that's not common for a true freshman, but he runs hard. He runs with passion. He runs with a purpose. And, you know, he's that kind of downhill, you know, violent runner that we look for in this offense, and really proud of him as a true freshman on what he's been able to do and bring to this team in 4 games.
And, you mentioned the hot start, all the things that you all want to accomplish this year. Does it maybe mean a little more getting to do it with 2 of your sons on the roster as well, or one on staff, one on the roster?
Well, if you look at our staff, you know, a lot of these guys on this staff, we've been together for years. It's very similar to Coach Chesney's staff, you know, and I think that trust and love and loyalty and relationships is part of success. And you know, Coach Hill and I, my defense coordinator, we went to college together. He was my defensive coordinator when I was a head coach in Greenville and Spanish Fort. Hired him at UAB in 22. Both of my strength coaches played for me at UAB. Brady, but having Brady, my son, you know, who was under me for 7 years now, my tight end coach. You know, and my son Brett, who's a walk-on wide receiver. It's family. It's really about people, and that's been our message from day one when we got here. The power's in the people, and it's about the people of this town, the former players, you know, this university, our students, that if we're going to bring this program out of the ashes, we've got to do it, and it's got to be about the people, because they're the ones that make places special. Places are places. It's the people that make places special. And when you can get a group of people in a town, even a team, to fight for one common cause and to have the same mission, and you go through tough times, you know, tough times are coming, and you're willing to go through the tough times and embrace them because that's part of it to get there, then it makes it special, an opportunity to be special and to do it and to change people's lives.
Thank you.
Move over to Shane. Shane?
Yeah, Coach. You played a few quarterbacks at Troy. Do you have a starter for this week, or is it going to be a situation where you play multiple guys at that position?
You know, we're just going to go through this week of practice. I think everything's about competition, and we let them compete last week, and we put a lot of, you know, you earn what you get what you earn, and everything's earned. It's not given. And so we're making them compete. And I thought last week that both of them raised their levels. I thought General raised his level in practice, and so did Aiden. And same thing at the tight end position and receiver positions. And we're just trying to get them to compete and continue to climb and continue to get better. And who has the best week right there is really who's earned it going into this game.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys. Go Warhawks. Thank you.
Okay. Good win this past weekend. I think our guys did a good job. We had some younger guys have to step in and play, some guys that didn't have as many reps. And I thought they did a really nice job throughout the course of the day. Excited to get some of these guys back as the week goes on, but a big trip coming up, and you know, we're moved on from that previous game, but I like the way a lot of the things worked out for us this past week. I thought our guys did a good job of just continuing to progress within our offense and defense and special teams, and just excited to get this week rolling.
All right, appreciate that, Coach. As our monitor and members of the media, if you have questions, go to reactions and raise your hand. We're more than happy to call on you. We'll start off with Jackson. Jackson?
Hey, Coach. We talked a little bit about, you know, on Saturday, just kind of beginning conference play, but I just want to ask you, just, you know, having the opportunity to go on the road to a very quality ULM team that's kind of on the rise, you know, and do it on national television. Just what is kind of your mindset going into this week?
I think our mindset's going to be exactly what our mindset is going to each and every week. Is we can only control what's directly in front of us, and that's how we handle today. You know, tomorrow will be how we handle tomorrow, but we're finally into conference play. Everything we've done up to this point is nice, but it's ultimately, not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to win this conference and to do what we're supposed to do week in and week out. And I think for us, it's just one day at a time. That's what our mantra has always been, and that's what it will continue to be. And we just need to continue to progress really within our process each and every single day. These guys have to get better. There's a lot of things on film that we got to clean up, and there's a lot of things we did really well, but we just have to continually, individually get better so that we could get better as an entire whole here. So I'm excited to get this week started. Really nothing changes for us other than now we're in conference play, but that shouldn't change anything that we've been doing up to this point in time anyway. If we, give everything we got every single day, we'll always have a chance.
We'll go over to Sam.
Hey, Coach Chesney, how do you game plan for a back like Ahmad Hardy, who's been a really powerful back for ULM, kind of do everything for him and really been the engine behind their offense so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very good. The thing that I really like about him, he's really just sure on his reads, and then he looks for contact. He is not, looking to bounce around and run away from things. When he has a chance to put his pads down, he does an unbelievable job of it. They do a great job on their wide zone play, mixing some inside zone plays, and then they try to outnumber you on the outside if you get a little too tight on the inside. So I just think there's a lot that they're doing that's a big problem, and this kid is a issue. He is as good a running back. Honestly, the North Carolina kid obviously is who he is, but there's violence in this kid's game, and there's a great feel for it, and then there's speed that comes along with it, and he is just violent and decisive, in his cuts when he carries this ball. He sees it clearly. He reads off of his offensive lineman and down lineman really, really well on defense, and understands when he needs to cut something back or bounce it out the front side. And I just really, like watching this kid play. He's a really, really good football player.
We'll go over to Adam. Adam.
Hey, Coach. You guys have been two things that have been really common the last 2 weeks with your explosive offense has been a fast start. ULM has, been playing some really good defense lately. And what kind of challenge is that going to be for your offense to be able to keep the foot on the pedal per se?
Well, we have to try to keep the foot on the pedal. That's the things we talked about in the first 2 weeks that we just did not do a good job of. It took us all the way to halftime in those first 2 weeks to get things going. I think we're beginning to figure out our identity on offense a little bit better now. I think we're beginning to put our guys in positions to make plays that fit, what they're good at, their strengths. And I think we've been keeping out of spots that, that expose their weaknesses. So if we just can continue to get better each and every week and every day within it is ultimately the goal. But these guys are really good. I think that when you look at the linebacker in there, he's, I think, leading their team in tackles for loss and sacks, and he gets in the backfield and is disruptive. And there's a whole lot in here that, again, we have to make sure that we are seeing it clearly, that we're understanding what we're getting from them, and we're preparing our guys, the best that we possibly can, because we're also playing at night down there. It's a little bit of a further trip. The weather will be a little different. There's a whole lot that comes with this, and we just got to begin to prepare for all of it as we roll through this week.
Now we'll go over to Jackson. Jackson.
Yeah, Coach, early on this call, Coach Vincent had some very kind words about you and the job you've been doing here at Harrisonburg. I was just kind of wondering if you had, kind of what your impressions of him, and just, so what are some things that you've kind of seen that he's been doing over ULM that you kind of just like to see,
I just think when you're turning a program around like he is, to be 3-1 and sitting where he is today, and watch him go in and play Texas and not back down and just play hard, that's to me a reflection on Coach Vincent and his staff. And I was on the end of this call here, just hearing him talk about how they've been together for a long time, and he has his family, on that roster as well, and on the coaching staff. And that's what I hope to do as well. My father's here, my son's out there running around and getting the tea, and just one of those things. I grew up in it. It was a family affair for me from day one. And I think when you have that connection with people on your staff and on your team, and you make this more like a brotherhood and a family, less like a business where it seems to be tipping, more and more each and every day within college football. I think, you're going to have a chance to play for each other and with each other. And I see that, clearly on the film, the way they play, how hard they play for each other and with each other. And that's pretty evident to me. So I know he's had a phenomenal run the previous years, and New Mexico did a great job. And I just, admire what he's done and the way he runs that program. And those kids play really, really hard for him and for each other. And that's evident on film.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right, man. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry. Hopefully you didn't have to wait on me. I ran in here off the practice field. Yeah, obviously a disappointing loss on Saturday, and it's one of those deals where luckily for us, we got a short week, and we got back to work on the practice field today, and really, really excited to start conference play against a super quality opponent, and somebody that's been back-to-back champs in our league, and have a ton of respect for what they do over there at Troy. So excited about the work week and the challenging situations, playing on a Thursday and traveling and all that. But our guys are up for the challenge, and we're excited about it. So questions.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Jacob Rodriguez. Jacob.
Yeah, Coach. Good morning. Coach,
morning.
Obviously nothing I guess nothing good about a loss, obviously,
Yeah.
right? But if you could, maybe some things that you learned from the loss against Arizona State and the loss against Sam Houston.
Yeah, I think for us, just being able to capitalize on the momentum, and I think there could be worse problems when you jump up on someone 21-7 in the Arizona State game, and then 22-0, and in the Sam Houston game. I think we just got to continue to finish, and I think that's something that's we talked about over the bye week, and we just couldn't get it done, and obviously the penalties, we have to clean up the penalties, and that's something that we worked on in the leadership council. We met on yesterday, and we'll continue to be on and be a huge emphasis, as it was all off season and all summer and all fall camp. So sometimes it takes a heartbreak like that to get better and really learn from it. So I'm excited to see how we respond on Thursday.
Go over to Sam.
Coach Kenny, Troy coming off a defensive performance this past week against ULM. Obviously didn't go their way in that one either. But how do you prepare and kind of keep your offense to keep the foot on the gas like you're talking about after jumping out to leads? How do you try to do that again against Troy?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult just because the quality of defense they run and the scheme, and they're a really good team, and we're excited about the challenge. Obviously, anytime playing on the road in this conference is difficult, and our guys are preparing right now, and we had a really, really good day of practice today. So hopefully we can continue to play well and learn from our mistakes and continue to like you said, focus and finish games.
Go back over to Jacob. Jacob.
Yeah, Coach, obviously big news if one of your biggest guys doesn't play, Ben Bell. Some news today that he might be considering a red shirt. Just wanted to know your thoughts on that, or if you could address that at all.
Yeah. It's a week-to-week situation with Ben. We've been in communication, and he's a team guy, and he wants to play, and we'll just kind of see what that looks like. That's about all the information I have right now, but he was out there at practice today.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
First off, I'd like to congratulate Georgia Southern on a victory on Saturday. Did an outstanding job. They were well coached, well prepared. We did not take advantage of opportunities that were presented in the game. We have to do a much better job of taking our practice habits to the field and perform in the right manner. I really appreciate our fans, alumni, and families that showed up for the game. The atmosphere was outstanding, and we need that on our next home game on October the 12th versus ODU. With that being said, questions are available.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Brady. Brady.
Yeah, Dell, I guess I'll ask the question on the Monday, not the Saturday. Anything after watching the game back that stood out to you as particularly, troublesome?
I wouldn't say necessarily troublesome, but we definitely got to be a lot more detailed in everything we do. Our urgency, our intensity has to be maximized on game day. We had opportunities, scores 24-21 on several occasions. and we have to execute at a high level during those opportunities that were afforded to us. We did not. Georgia Southern had a lot to do with that, but we also have to take, our part and our accountability and what we did not do and how we did not execute and how our coaching didn't give our kids the best opportunity to be successful in those moments.
And I guess after a disappointing result like that, how do you as a staff gauge what's an appropriate reaction versus maybe an overreaction, just one game going poorly in a certain regard?
Every week is different. We kind of put this game to bed today. It was a different type of meeting than what we normally have on a Monday, and it was to get the intention and attention of our entire football organization. And I think we'll see how the rest of this week goes to see if they are answering the challenge of what we got to do from a preparation standpoint on a weekly basis. Just understanding the details, taking notes, taking care of our body, just doing all the little things that's needed, and us as an organization and as me as the leader, not allowing anything to slide by, and we can't miss the details of no assignments. But I am proud of how our kids played. I did think they fought, they believe, but when talent is equal, or they have a little bit more cohesion, then that's when your preparation has to stick through. So it's all about how we process, how we go about our everyday business, and then that has to carry over onto game days.
Go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach McGee, does this bye week come at a good time for your team, and how do you plan to kind of use this week to rebound from the loss of Georgia Southern?
We got to get some guys back and make sure we're healthy going into the game against ODU. So we got to do a great job of rehabbing our guys, rehabbing our players, and also mentally just taking a step back, working on ourselves, developing ourselves, find out what we do best. So we're taking a deeper dive into self-scouting and just really preparing, the rest of our roster for 8 straight, game week, which is going to be tough. We didn't make the schedule. It is unfortunate that we had 2 bye weeks within, 3 weeks, but it is the reality of the situation. So we got to make sure that we're not beating our guys up these next 3 days either, because we don't have another break coming. So it's going to be a very fine balance between physicality, getting guys well, but also making sure we're mentally prepared, as well as getting our bodies back physically for 8 straight weeks of football.
And then, Coach, how was Georgia Southern able to slow your guys' run game down, and how important do you feel like establishing the run obviously was for you guys in the first 3 weeks, and then also moving forward for the rest of the season?
We just didn't have any momentum. They did a good job of stopping the run, but we played a part in that as well. And just have to look ourselves in the mirror, look at the plan, look at the lack of execution, look at the lack of communication on certain plays. And we're in a performance-based business, and we have to perform on Saturdays, and we have to coach and make adjustments on Saturday as well. So it's a team loss, but I always take the brunt of the blame, which I should, and it's totally my fault. And we'll be better moving forward. And we just got to continue to believe in what we're doing, which we do, and just make sure we're all on the same page. And, us doing our self-scout, just redefining some things, hopefully developing more depth, playing more players on both line of scrimmages need to happen moving forward. Just getting the right guys the ball on offense and, defense as well. So, biggest thing is we can't let a team out hit us or out hustle us for 60 minutes. Like I said, we fought, but it wasn't the type of fight that we needed, and we didn't do it for 60 minutes.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, good to get a good victory up in Atlanta against Georgia State. Was really impressed with Coach McGee and his team coming into that game. I think Dell's going to do a wonderful job there. That's going to be a good football team in the years to come. Was proud of our team to show their resiliency. I thought going into the game that really the non-conference slate had really made us ready for conference, having played 2 top 25 teams and had some tough road trips to Nevada and to Oxford. I thought we were kind of hardened, kind of resilient and ready for the conference. And really it challenged our guys that I thought, going into when you go into conference, it's really winning the battle of the trenches and the big men have to lead the way. And I thought they did that in this game. Was really proud to get a sense of balance offensively, getting the run game going with a healthy Jalen White this week and producing the yardage we did in the run game while still mixing in the pass. And then, defensively, just a stellar job, which I thought was a really good run game coming in with Georgia State to hold them to 29 yards. That's where it was won. Get 3 turnovers defensively, hold 29 yards rushing while you're rushing for 261. That's winning the line of scrimmage, and that's what had to be done in this game. We go to a bye week now after 10 straight weeks of ball with training camp and 5 straight weeks of games. This hits right about the perfect spot. We've got some minor injuries that we need to be able to shore up, and then we'll get back to Marshall next week in a big game at home. So with that, I'll take any questions you have.
All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. We'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach Helton, how are you guys able to slow down Georgia State's rushing attack? Obviously, you already mentioned that's one of the keys to the victory this past weekend. Then how do you feel like you'd be able to translate that against another dynamic back for Marshall in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think our defensive front's doing a wonderful job, especially the interior of our defensive front. I think Latrell Bullard's playing at an extremely high level. Everybody has known, Marquez wants a trip for a long time, him being able to do his thing and make his tackles. But I think the interior of our defense is doing a really nice job in the 2 defensive ends and setting the edge. To be able to we've gone into the game saying, okay, hey, if you're going to beat us, it's going to be throwing the football. And they had 2 great receivers out there also. They got us sometimes. But we wanted to take away what we felt was their strength, which was their running game, and try to make it a little bit more one-sided. Fortunately, we were able to do that. And, you create some 3rd and longs, and all of a sudden you're allowed your pass rushers to get to work and be disruptive. 5 tip balls in that game, some hurries that allowed us to create 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. So good compliment defensively, but I thought it started at the line of scrimmage.
Over to Adam.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, the defense forced. You guys only forced 1 interception in the first half, but the key was you guys getting off the field on 3rd down and your offense. Then executing. Can you talk about how your offense fed off of that, and if that's something that maybe the first time you've seen this year, or something you knew was within the DNA of your team, of your offense feeding off the performance of your defense, and maybe even vice versa?
Yeah, kind of twofold, like you said. We when you look at our 2 wins, and I had told the team before, our magic number is 9 drive stops. If we have 9 drive stops, we've won. We got 11 in that game, 3 of them coming off turnovers. And anytime that you get the turnovers, that creates momentum. It created momentum in the first half with that early turnover, and then all of a sudden, that game that was started going like that in the 3rd quarter, all of a sudden a turnover recreated a spark, and really got us to where we finished extremely strong. But that was we had only created 1 turnover per game going into that. So to be able to have 3 turnovers, that's your goal every week, is to be able to have 3 or more in each game defensively. And we were able to get 3, meet our number, which is 9 drive stops have been the magic number for us. To get to 11 was really good. And then the offensively obviously fed off that. You give our offense the opportunities. I know they can do great things, and they were able to get it done this game.
And we'll go over to Sam.
Coach, going into this bye week, what are a couple keys that you're hoping to get out of it, and have the impacts of Hurricane Helene impacted your ability to practice or get the guys together as a team now that you're back in Statesboro?
Yeah, I'll start with the hurricane first. I mean, those people we saw the devastation not only in our own area but driving up to Atlanta. I mean, it was shock and awe, and I can't even imagine what's going on up in North Carolina right now. We've heard the stories, we've seen the pictures. It's just to see what's happening here with people without power, without water. Fortunately, I've got water. I don't have any power yet at the house, but it was so much devastation from this storm. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. And it was the game was kind of secondhand, to be honest with you. Having walked up there, we were all kind of eye-opening that, wow, we're really blessed to even have the opportunity to play the game we love. Going into the bye week, your second question, I think one of the priorities for us is to be able to get healthy, but also to take a really self-reflective look at us. What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? And be real with ourselves and be able to address those issues. What are our tendencies? How would we game plan against ourselves? Be able to watch a little bit of other people score points and get some ideas from them. We're all pirates, in the coaching profession anyways, taking wrinkles from each other. It's a chance to catch your breath, but more importantly, it's a chance to get yourself better. And that's what I hope we do this week, both physically and mentally.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Hail Southern.
So it's always good to come off of a win. It's back to business as usual yesterday. Certainly a lot of things to clean up. It's always good to go on the road and get a win. I feel like the game didn't have to be as close as it was for a number of reasons, I think, but a lot of them are our own doing. So that's a lesson learned there. It shouldn't come down to a field goal at the end. When you go back and watch it, we had plenty of opportunities to put the game away. And that's what our focus is, on finding a way to put them away before you got to get down to that. And, I do think there's value in having to win close games, for us in particular. Last couple of years, those have been hard to come by. So to get a close win on the road was really good for us, I think, for a lot of reasons. But certainly it should keep us grounded a little bit because there's a lot of things we can do better there.
Coach, we'll go over to Sam.
Coach Des, like you mentioned, you guys never trailed in the game, but obviously very close battle for you guys. What does it speak to the resiliency of your team that you guys were able to have that fourth quarter drive and the go-ahead field goal there at the end to seal that win?
But I believe to go on the road and get wins in places like that, there's a certain type of, mindset and belief that you have to have as a team. And it was pretty obvious the entire week that our guys were thinking the right way. We had a great week of preparation, and then whenever we got out there and we took the field for pregame, there was kind of a calm, around the team. And you just kind of knew it was going to be one of those games that, we were going to play really well and we were going to, have a chance to go win the game. I think it says that our team has grown up quite a bit, especially when some things didn't go our way. And there was plenty of adversity in there. Some things that were, a little frustrating throughout the course of the game. But I think a mature team handles those things and continues to plug away. And I was really proud that we did, because there was a lot of times there where, man, it just kind of felt like it was all kind of, snowballing a little bit. And, we found a way offensively to get drives when we needed it. I think our defense, people talk about the offense, but man, we had a huge stop. We had to punt in the fourth quarter. We punt, pin them back deep in their own territory. Our defense gets a pick, and then the offense turns around and scores a touchdown. Like that is team football, and it's critical stops and critical plays when you need them. So that was good to get that.
And then, Coach, this is a league that's really built on regional rivalries, and you've got an old rival coming up in Southern Miss this next week up in Hattiesburg. They've been pretty successful against you guys in the past. I think it's 10 or 11 wins in a row over Louisiana. What will you guys have to do well to end that streak and come out with a victory on the road?
We've got to go execute, and play clean football. I think we've got to physically try to set the tone on offense and defense up front. And we got to continue to play, I think smart football. We got to get back to being, got to get back to limiting our penalties. We got to protect the football, and on defense, it was great to get a takeaway. We got to get some takeaways here. It's a great place to play over there. It's a great rivalry that goes back a long time. It's one that we're really looking forward to since last year. So we'll be excited to go play this game.
We'll go to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach. I know you're very pleased with your defense, but I mean, and your offense, though. I mean, can you please just tell us about Ben Woolridge and the development he's made and the impact that he made in that game Saturday? And was that a day that you saw him, really sort of take a step and maybe take ownership and leadership of your offense, and something you guys are able to bank on the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, I think Ben's process started a long time ago. Ben has been taking ownership and leadership in this offense, for years now. And, we talk about, our program and everything we do. We talk about being blue collar, and we talk about being built on hard work, and no one exemplifies that more than Ben. I mean, no one spends more time in this building studying film, studying himself, watching other guys than Ben Woolridge does. So, it's one of those things that I think, when your hardest workers are your best players, that's something that just sets a tone for the entire organization. And it's undeniable how hard that guy works, and everyone knows it. So, when they see him working at a certain level, and then he turns around and played at a really high level this year, it kind of makes everybody say, well, there's something to that, and that's the things that you preach. So yeah, I mean, I think it always starts at the quarterback position, naturally. I mean, the way today's game is that so much runs through the quarterback position, but, I mean, our running backs have been excellent the last few weeks. Our guys up front, I thought really did a phenomenal job. And at wideout, I thought we were really efficient. I thought we made the plays we were supposed to make. We were able to get some guys open, and Ben did a good job finding them, and they did the rest. So, I mean, I think offensively we're playing good, 11 for 11 football on offense. Our tight ends have factored in every week. So, it's just going to be continue to play that type of game. And, it always helps at quarterback when you're playing well around them. And I thought we did that really well, and it allowed Ben to be a little more comfortable. Week before, I thought, he took too many hits. Saturday, I think we did a pretty good job keeping him clean.
And we'll go to Sam. Sam?
Coach, Southern Miss has played a few different quarterbacks this year. Do you feel like there's a lot of significant differences amongst those guys, or is the scheme pretty similar regardless of who comes in under center for them?
Yeah, I think, 3 is a little bit unique, with the things he does as a dual threat guy back there. All 3 of those guys are talented players. I mean, they're all good football players. I think 3 is the one that's a little bit of a wild card. You kind of watch him, and it's like, well, you can tell he opened some things up for them that maybe the other 2 don't. I think 18 is kind of your pocket guy that, tries to, sit in the pocket, read everything, progress through. 12 to me is a little bit of a combination of both. He played a lot against Jacksonville State when 3 was out. But after a bye week, we're expecting all 3 of them to be ready to go. So you kind of got to get ready for almost, I don't want to say 2 different offenses, because, it's built around the whole thing, but, 2 different kind of thoughts, whenever 3 is in there versus the other 2 guys, for sure. There's some differences there.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Good to see everybody again. These weeks are flying by, huh? I would like to sit in front of you in a better mood, but here we are, right? And first, got to say congrats to Monroe, Coach Vincent and his staff. Great effort by them. They came to Troy and pulled off a road win in the Sun Belt, and we all know on this Zoom and in the public that's not easy to do. So you have to tip your hat and shake a man's hand and an organization's hand when they do that. Unfortunate result for us, and one that we went about fixing as quickly as possible with urgency, and that's all we can do. That's the only answer. There's no other answers to it. So proud of our guys and our effort and the staff and our resiliency. But at the end of the day, we're in a results-driven world, and I take full responsibility for where we're at as a program right now, and we'll continue to. And we'll continue to fix our problems with urgency and do that, and that's kind of where we stand. So with that, I'll leave it to questions from you all. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Sam. Sam?
Coach, obviously a tough loss this past weekend, but maybe some positives you can take from it on the defensive side of the ball of being able to slow ULM down and keep it a close defensive matchup this past weekend.
Yeah, our defense practiced better last week, and then what do you see from better preparation and practice? You better play. That was a tough physical operation and how they approach their offensive game planning. We knew that. And I thought for the most part, our defense, to what your point is, certainly took a step in the right direction and we got better. Two critical errors and things that we must fix that just proved to be, big hits in that game when the margin of error was very, very small for how the game was played. So, but proud of their effort, and certainly we took a step in the right direction.
And then how do you talk to the guys and try to rebound quickly? Obviously, a short week this week to play on national TV on Thursday night against Texas State. How do you kind of game plan for that and on a short week?
Yeah, I think you all know how this is, like the life lessons of this game and why it's such a special game. They all are tied together. And there's no, I think I told our staff this morning, you think of the billions of dollars of industry this is in leadership books and how you respond to adversity, and they're great. But the fact of the matter is there ain't but one way to approach this thing to getting better. And being resilient, being a fighter and finding ways to prepare answer and find answers and all those things, it's the answer. Anything else is not the answer. So we're not going to respond like losers. We're not going to not prepare better. We're not going to fight and not be positive. We're going to go out here realizing that we're blessed to be doing the jobs we're doing and getting to play this game, and we're going to behave that way. And I got to start and model that first, and I'm doing that. We're all hurting, but at the same time, that's the call to arms, and that's what we're going to do here at Troy.
Go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach. You guys got to turn the page now. You got a division game with the Sun Belt. Texas State coming in Thursday night. Just what kind of things are you going to need to do to turn the bus around and get things, ready for Texas State and to have another great defensive performance against a team that really likes to move the ball?
Yeah, I mean, they're incredible on offense. They play fast. You got a great quarterback that's extremely accurate and values the ball. All their systems on offense are very good. And I think that what they've done, too, is they're playing extremely hard on special teams. Their return games are explosive. They've got great returners all over the field that put them in great field positions and has put them in a position where their program is. So we've got – then the biggest thing we have to do is understand that it's a tall task and one that they're not going to feel a bit sorry for us, right? They just came off of a loss on the road. They're going to want nothing more than to get back on the road and come play a game. And we've got to be starving to do the same thing. So we expect our guys to meet their same urgency and see who can do it better Thursday night.
Go to Sam.
Coach Parker, you talked about the urgency of the team. Texas State's been able to jump out to some early large leads these past 2 weeks. Is that going to be a key for you guys in terms of maybe winning that first quarter or, keeping it close there early to be able to be in the contest with them?
Yeah, I think when you face an offense like this that's as explosive as they are, you have to, one, help your team understand there's going to be some failures and shortcomings in giving up yards. You have to limit what those yards turn into points. That's going to be the first conversation, and starting fast and handling that first wave of tempo and all that they do and give you is going to be critical in this game.
And we'll go back over to Sam.
And then, Coach, in terms of your rushing attack, Gerald Green came through with a 100-yard performance for you this past week. Damian Taylor's had some good performances earlier in the season as well. Is it great to have two solid backs that you can rely on going through the rest of the season here?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. You look at Adam hands me the sheet after the game, and you're in a tough spot. But you look at it, we win turnover margin, right? We finally create a turnover. We rush for 200 in a rushing game, and we lose the football game. But very proud about our rushing effort. And those two guys gave great efforts and broke tackles, and we did some great things in our fits up front. So that is a step in the right direction. Of course, our biggest issue was then throwing the football, which comes down to losing your starter once again, which is a tough thing to manage and is one that we're right with Goose and feeling strong about that. But we've got to play better in our throw game if we're going to be able to open up games and score touchdowns instead of field goals. But back to your point, yes, very happy with those two and proud of how we ran the football.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you all.
Yeah, happy to be with you guys again today. Coming off a bye week where we got a chance to really work on us and improve a lot of things that we want to improve on. Got a tremendous opponent coming up this week, man. Got a lot of respect for Coach Des and UL. The way they've been executing offensively has been really impressive to watch. Woolridge at quarterback, man, he's a really good player 2 years ago coming off the injury. Got a lot of respect for him. Their backs are running, man. They're really hard to tackle. One of them's also their kickoff returner, man. He's dynamic. He basically won the game for them last week, there at the end with that kickoff return all the way past midfield. They're playing at a high level on defense and coming off a huge win, versus an ACC team on the road. So a lot of respect for them. Big rivalry game. And as you know, we got to play a lot better football than what we've shown. And we had a great week of practice last week, another good morning this morning. So with that, I'll open it up.
I appreciate that, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have questions, go to reactions and raise your hand. Start with Scott. Scott.
Hey, Coach, good morning. Just to have that bye week and, now you guys start conference play, for your team to have that clean slate, what's been the message to the guys to kind of really, focus on what's ahead and maybe turn the last couple weeks around?
Yeah, like you said, we're 0-0 in conference play. We're excited about conference play. We're excited about getting back out there and playing again, but we've got several days in front of us. We're just trying to go 1-0 each day. I know that's a cliche and everybody uses it, but we're trying to embrace each day and improve and in hopes of focusing on that process that our play on Saturday will be much better because we haven't played well on Saturdays. We're practicing well. We're working extremely hard. We've got good kids that have a lot of talent, but we've got to coach better and we've got to play better on Saturday. And to do that, we got to continue to we had a good Monday. Now we got to have a good Tuesday. And we've addressed a lot of issues. Each game, we've addressed issues from the previous game and something else kind of reared up. But we've got to play better this upcoming week. We know that.
Go over to Heath. Heath.
Hey, Coach, this week, which position groups on either side of the ball are you looking to improve the most or make the biggest step forward from the previous 4 games?
Yeah, for us, Heath, it's been pretty obvious. We've got to leverage and stop the run better defensively. That's a collective effort. We've got to eliminate space from the D-line all the way back to the secondary, from alignment to technical and fundamental issues versus the run. To the way we approach and leverage tackling, all that's everybody's got to buy into that. I think we have through the bye week, and but we're facing a tremendous opponent this week. These are 2 of the best backs that we've played in Sun Belt play. I mean, these guys can really, really play. They're physical, they're good, they're experienced, and they're just good players. Offensively, we got to quit turning the ball over. Like I said last week, we've turned it over 13 times in 4 games. You can't beat Petal Middle School, doing that. And I've seen Petal Middle School play several times this year. So, we've got to eliminate turnovers offensively, and we've got to leverage and tackle the football better defensively.
Go back over to Scott. Scott.
Coach, the last time we were out there, obviously you just spoke in those turnovers from John and Tate, but just over the last couple of weeks, how have you kind of seen maybe their leadership, maybe hold themselves accountable, just the reps they've been taking to kind of, help those decisions not be as prominent?
Yeah, I think it's a collective effort by our whole football team to understand that if we want to win football games, we've got to not turn the football over like that. And I think it starts with me all the way through the equipment managers, obviously, and anybody that touches the football in our program's got to understand that our lives are in their hand and how big a responsibility that is. And we've got to do a better job with it.
And we'll go back over to Heath.
Coach, you said earlier that y'all have had really good practices, but it hasn't transitioned to the field. What do you think are some of the reasons maybe that hasn't transitioned to the field from those good practices?
Yeah, I think it's been different each week. Outside of the turnovers, Heath, I think, we played really good in special teams this past week. The week before we didn't. There's been weeks where, red zone has bit us. In some weeks we played better in that that area. We just got to coach better. We got to execute better on Saturdays. We got to just put it all together. We've had different areas, kind of shoot ourselves in the foot / not execute / we've played some good football teams too that have executed well, and I tip my hat to them. But as far as what we can control, our effort and intent to make sure we don't turn the football over, and we can control our fundamentals and our alignment and our execution towards leveraging the run, eliminating space, and stopping the run. Those are things we can choose to do, and we are certainly and urgently, from me all the way throughout the program, making sure we do a better job of those this upcoming Saturday.
And we'll go over to Sam.
Coach Hall, this is a league that's built on regional rivalries, and obviously you got an old rival in Louisiana coming to town this weekend. You guys have been successful against them recently, 11 straight wins, including the past 2 years in Sun Belt play. What would you have to do this weekend to be able to continue that streak and come out with a victory?
Yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of respect for their program. I coach there with Coach Diaz. I know what he stands for. Several of their guys on their staff, Coach Munoz and others, really good football coaches that do things the right way. We recruit against each other. All of their players and all of our players at some point in time were recruited by the other side. So there's just a lot of respect going back and forth. I've got a lot of respect for how they started their season and what they've done. They run the football, man, and their quarterback is executing at such a high level. He's an older guy that's been with them for 3 years. He was a really good football player 2 years ago, and he was able to overcome that injury last year. And you can see he really knows where to go with it, and is really making them tick. And I've just got a lot of respect for them. It is a big rivalry game. But as far as we're concerned, we need to play better. We need to show who we really are. We need to show what kind of football team we can be. And we've not done that yet. And we're looking forward to opening up conference play. But it's gonna be a tall task. That Louisiana, through the first part of the season, through the non-conference part of the slate, is probably playing the best football in this conference. So we know there's a really good team coming in here.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Sure. Well, obviously, I thought it was a really productive bye week for us. We're excited to now get into Sun Belt Conference play. And what better way to do it than what I think is one of the most premier teams in our conference. Have a lot of respect for Major, his entire coaching staff, what they've done there, their skilled players, their toughness. I think it's one of the most complete teams in our conference when you look at them in all 3 phases. And like I said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, their coaching staff, and their program. And, we haven't been very competitive with them. Last year, I thought we were more competitive than we've ever been. But again, looking forward to the numerous challenges that this week presents. So I'll pause and answer any questions y'all may have.
Yes, sir. We'll start off with Charles McCray. Charles?
Coach, what's going on, man?
Good morning.
You feel like you guys addressed the issues of offense in the bye week?
I think it's ongoing. I think the biggest thing for us is consistency and performance. I think it's how we prepare. It's being able to manufacture game speed repetitions, throughout the course of practice. But also, we've kind of said it's kind of been our Achilles heel all year is we got to be able to make the layups. We got to be able to make the easy throws, the completion plays, whether it's fundamentals, whether it's discipline to execute at a high level, being 11 for 11. So there's a lot of things that go into it. I think the bye week, provided myself the luxury to really go back and really dive into the first 4 games and look at our flaws, look at the things that we need to improve, our problem areas, what are our strengths. Usually by game 3 or game 4, your team has established an identity. I think we're still lacking an identity overall. I think a lot of that is a byproduct of the competition and some of the teams we've faced as well. So I do think it was a really productive week. Our kids want to do it. They've been all in terms of what we ask of them each and every day. It's just, it goes back to that word team. 10 guys can do it right and 1 can do it wrong. And, we say 1 wrong, all wrong. And I think that's really been the key when you look at it this whole season is 8, 9, 10 individuals have the discipline to execute their assignment, and there's one or two blinking lights, and that kind of affects it. But they want to do well. So again, we just have to have another great week of preparation and understand the tall task that's in order this week.
We'll go over to Adam. Adam.
Hey, Coach, you kind of alluded to it, but obviously you and Coach Applewhite have some history, spent time on the same staff at Alabama, and both, respectfully offensive minds. Is that going to play a key into this weekend's game, and sort of a chess match between you two, and knowing the formations, knowing what he likes to do, knowing tendencies, but the familiarity and how that helps you in a game plan?
Well, there's definitely familiarity, but it comes down to the players executing. And, I just spoke about us being 11 for 11. Really, even though football is the greatest team sport, football still boils down to one-on-one matchups. And that's why some teams match up with better teams, and everyone around the country says, well, how can they play well against this team, but they can't play well against that team? Well, football comes down to one-on-one matchups. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for Major. We've been through a lot. We had 2.5 great years together. Rob Azell and myself were together for 3 years. I know what Rob brings to the table. I think he's one of the most innovative, dynamic coaches, not only in our league, but I think in all of college football. Sat in the same staff room as him, and again, just have a tremendous amount of respect. But I think, where they do a great job is they play to the skill set of their players. I think the quarterback is one of the top players in our league. I think he's in contention for player of the year. He does remind me of Tua. They ask a lot of things of what we did at Alabama with Tua, and you just can't misconstrue because they're both left-handed. They're extremely accurate. The release is extremely quick, very, very strong arm, can defeat tight coverage, and then really dynamic with the ball in their hands and plays extremely tough. And then obviously really good skill guys around them, big up front. And then defensively, they pose you so many different looks, so many different schemes, so many pick games up front, twists, movement. So they're a lot to prepare for on top of being a really good, talented football team.
We're back over to Charles. Charles?
My fault. Going into the bye week, we talked about injuries. You were hoping that like 6-7 guys would come back. Where are we at on track with those guys? Are we going to see McKeelan this weekend?
Yeah, we're still on track. I think a lot of these guys will be game time decisions. I think the nature of their injuries, you just don't get healthy in 1 week. So I think we have to track the progress. Again, you can't just individuals that haven't practiced, you just can't plug in and play, especially when you're playing a football team like South Alabama. Again, they're violent, they're physical up front, they're very athletic. A lot of those guys in their defensive front have played a lot of football for them. And, when you watch them as a football coach, it's fun to watch them play with their effort, their mentality, their toughness. So again, we just can't plug and play guys in. So I think it's going to be, how their preparation goes this week. How do they prepare? And then are they ready for the game speed repetitions that the game will present?
Got time for one more from Sam. Sam?
Coach, you talked about the physicality of South Alabama's defensive front, but how important will your defensive front be this weekend as you try to slow down the rushing game, particularly of South Alabama, where the top 3 rushers are averaging over 6.5 yards a carry on the season?
Well, it's going to be vital. And I think when you look at them, that's the challenge in and of itself, not just because of the schemes and the players, but they're extremely balanced. They know what your flaws are. They know what your fundamental flaws are. They know what your schematic flaws are, and they look to take advantage of that. And on top of that, very skillful players. And again, very, very balanced. So you have to, obviously it starts with stopping the run, but we know we're going to get deep balls and we're going to get deep shots and all those. So I think for us, it's playing the ball in the air. I think it's being fundamentally sound. And when you play teams like South Alabama, you can't beat yourselves. And I think, that's the biggest thing we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about is, you have to, it's like the Little League analogy. You have to not beat yourself before you can win the game. And they force you to play at a very, very high level.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Okay, have a great week.
Yeah, I thought our guys played with a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of joy. It was a tremendous environment at Bowling Green. But we played another close game, which we are contractually obligated to do, I guess. And so we had another one of those. So, but it was a great, it was a great game. I thought our guys played really hard, and we didn't always play perfect, but we played hard. And obviously, it was great to come out of there with a win. Looking forward to opening up Sunbelt play. Coach Beck does a tremendous job, and that's a good football team we're about to go play. So excited to go down to Conway and open up Sunbelt play.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Shane. Shane?
Yeah, Coach. I was curious, with the tablets on the sidelines, helmet communication, some of those things that changed this year, did you guys make any changes to how many guys you have in the booth, coaches, and or change who you put on the sideline versus the booth?
Yeah, I mean, I think it allows you to have more of your full-time coaches on the sideline because, they don't have to see it from up top because they have the tablets and that sort of thing. So I do think that that's been something that not only I've noticed, but on our team, but a bunch of teams have done that. So you're able to communicate directly with, if you do that, you can communicate directly with your players instead of maybe having to have somebody get on the phone or a headset or one of those sort of things. So that's been the biggest change.
And do you have your coordinators on the sidelines now, or was that something you did before anyway? I'm not sure where.
Both of them are on the sidelines. They were on the sidelines last year. They just prefer it. I think, some coordinators like to be in the box. Some like to be on the sidelines. I would say a lot of defensive coordinators like to be on the sidelines, but sometimes offensive coordinators, it kind of goes back and forth.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, you talked about the one possession games, and obviously that's been the theme for your team the past couple of years, but how important was it for the team and just the mentality to come through and actually come through and win the game and kind of have that final drive too at the end of the fourth quarter and score with 24 seconds left to take the lead and win?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was huge. Last year we pulled off quite a few of those at the end, and this year we've been on the wrong side of a couple of them. So to be able to finish in a 2-minute drive. We've had some other 2-minute drives at the end of the games this year, and we weren't able to capitalize on them. So to be able to capitalize on that game was huge. I told our team that I thought having 3 timeouts at the end of the game for the 2-minute drive ended up being a huge factor in the game because we were able to run the ball. And then for them, they only had 1 left. So when, the first time we tackled them in bounds, that was basically made the next play, the last play of the game. So I thought that managing and that's everybody, that's making sure we don't have substitution issues, that's communication issues and all that sort of thing. That's the whole entire team, not just the offense, defense, and special teams, it's everybody. So I thought that ended up being a major factor in the game, is making sure we had all 3 of our timeouts.
And then how would you assess the performance of Colton Joseph as he came in when Grant went down and obviously led you guys on 2 fourth quarter drives to score and win the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty huge. I mean, obviously we get the turnover on the 1 and Gerad Manning makes a great play and we get turnover and we score 2 plays later. I thought what happened there, Colton did a nice job of not panicking. He makes a read that maybe he shouldn't have made, but instead of panicking, he just kind of fixes it and ends up running in and scoring a touchdown. And then in the 2-minute drive, he converts on a 4th down. He scrambles for a huge play. He does those sort of things. So, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he played with a ton of poise, a ton of leadership, and when you score that touchdown right there, that to get the win, that's obviously massive.
And we'll go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach. Obviously, turning the page now, conference play, big East Division game against Coastal Carolina. They do a really good job running the ball, and you guys just had a great week defending the run. Talk about how maybe last week's performance against Bowling Green is really going to help your run defense prepare for a test like this with Coastal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job of defending the run, playing the play out. We've given up some explosives, which have kind of jaded that a little bit or skewed it. But we certainly, you take a team like Bowling Green and you hold them to less than 100 yards rushing. That's an impressive performance. That's an old, experienced team that's incredibly well coached. So, yeah, we got to be able to stop the run again. It's going to be a little bit of a different challenge because of the mobile quarterback that Coastal Carolina presents and running the quarterback and doing some of those sort of things. So it's a different challenge, but it also is a challenge that we've had when you look at, when we played South Carolina and when we played Virginia Tech. So we've had those challenges. We have experience with that sort of thing. So that's going to be helpful to be able to draw on, some of that stuff.
Time for one more from Sam.
Coach, a little bit of a coming out party for Pat Conroy this past weekend. Obviously, 2 touchdown catches, and the third catch was that big 4th down play that you mentioned as well on the key final drive. Was that a performance that you kind of saw out of him, and was something you thought he was capable of when you brought him over from Merrimack this past offseason?
Yeah, we always knew that he was capable of it, and he showed it in practice, and he certainly showed it on his tape and that sort of thing. So we knew it was there. It was awesome to see him do it because we played against a great tight end, and so that was if you're a lover of tight end play, that was the game for you right there. I mean, there was and it was over. I don't know what it was, over 250 yards caught by tight ends in that game. So that was a great performance. But Pat made some huge plays. Tight ends, that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to, I always used to, when I would chart my guys, when I coached tight ends, I would always chart, hey, how many of your catches were for touchdowns or first downs? Because that's what matters, right? And especially at the tight end position, if you figure that his 2 catches were for 2 of his catches for touchdowns, the other one was for a first down, and that's massive.
Thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, obviously, really good win this weekend for our guys. Really good opportunity to get into some, you call it comparable competition level, and kind of see where we are as a team. Got a lot of things to clean up, a lot of things we got to get addressed, adjusted, whatever you want to call it, in-house, and get ready for a really good conference opponent.
We'll start off with Luke Priestley. Luke?
Yeah, Coach, when you look at App State, these games have been close over the last few years. What about them makes them so tough to play, and just how big of a test, again, will this be for your team?
I think they're well coached. Coach Clark does a really good job. They've got veteran coaches. They've got a system that they believe in. For years and years and years, they've been running, a very similar system. And what it does is allows your kids to have some familiarity with, the system and how people defend the system. They have an identity. They're tough. They're physical. They got really good players. So it makes it a challenge just because they've seen pretty much everything you can do scheme-wise to try to defeat their scheme. So they have a lot of bank reps on it. You got really good players. They're the preseason, favorites or champions, however you guys rank those guys. And they've got a really good quarterback. They've got a lot of really talented all-conference players. They've been able to keep, a lot of really, really good players up through the development of the program, so they understand how things are done there. It's kind of the perfect storm, typically in today's college football, you're looking at a brand new team every year. App State's been able to be very consistent in their development, very consistent in who they've brought into the program, and been able to play at a really high level consistently.
Go over to Adam. Adam?
Hey, Coach. Another nice win against Western Michigan this past weekend, but a really kind of a balanced attack from your offense, passing. Stone throwing it around really well, 3 touchdown passes, but then also you guys averaged over 6 yards a carry on the ground. Is that sort of a formula that's your best fit, or did it just kind of work out that way that turned into the best game plan for you guys going in, or is that something you guys strive to do week to week, is with a balanced offense?
No, I think we're trying to be efficient, and when you're efficient, you're kind of taking what the defense is giving you, and everyone understands that you got to maximize your touches and you got to maximize your opportunities. The weather, not make an excuse, but played a little bit into what we did a little bit more of when it kind of got, a little wet. So that probably had a little bit to do with some of the balance. But again, we're trying to be efficient. If we got to throw it 100 times, we throw it. If we got to run it, I mean, coaches that say they're balanced, that's coach talk. You're going to do what the defense allows you to do. Now, if you're just more dominant than the opponent, then yeah, you can line up and play whack-a-mole and all of that. But I mean, every scheme that you have is based on, what the defense is giving you. And if the defense is giving you run looks, then you want to be advantageous in the run. If the defense is giving you pass looks, you want to be advantageous in the pass. When you are balanced, I think what you were saying is that you are legitimately taking what the defense gives you. You're not trying to force one or the other, just because, hey, we want to, do X, Y, or Z. Obviously, there's times in the game where, 4-minute, 2-minute short yardage where you want to obviously, be advantageous. The weather, it seemed like it rained every time we got the ball and stopped raining when they got the ball. So it was a little, kind of playing into making sure we gave our players the best opportunity to be successful. So, I'll say, yes, we want to be balanced because we want to be doing exactly what the defense tells us we should be doing and doing that at an efficient level.
And we'll go over to Sam.
Coach, how would you assess the performance of your defense this week? Obviously, the huge fourth quarter stop, but some gaudy numbers from guys like JJ Roberts and Mike Green as well this week.
Yeah, I think, and this is part of the things we got to continue to improve on, in-house. We've played 2 lights out quarters or halves of defensive football. The first half of Virginia Tech, we were lights out. The first half of this game, we were lights out. And then our second half, where teams are adjusting or teams are making different, decisions, we've got to continue that dominance. So that's a lot of things we could do as coaches and some things we can do as players. Obviously, when you get those type of numbers from those type of guys, that means they're playing at a really consistent level, which we expected them to do. We got to get more guys playing at that level, obviously, to continue to sustain that type of, dominance across 4 quarters. But I've been really happy with where we are. There's a lot of things we got to get cleaned up. I think we can take the ball away some more. We haven't been great at that. We've got a couple, but we can still get more. Our tackling, can still continue to improve. All the things that, yes, we're excited about what we've been able to do. And I tell the players all the time, you've shown us what you're capable of doing. Now we got to make that the consistent product.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, just excited to get back into conference play. Against Arkansas State there in Jonesboro, a great football program. Coach Jones has done a great job with that program since he's gotten there. Know it's going to be a great challenge going on the road again in conference, but excited about the opportunity and put to bed the LSU game this morning. So guys are moved on and they're ready to get back to conference play.
All right. Appreciate that, Coach. We'll start off with Adam.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, I know you said you just put the LSU game to bed, but there was one play I was thinking about from the game Saturday night that I thought was a real turning point near the end of the third quarter. The play at the goal line where Gio tried to run it in and they made the stop there. Is there something you kind of wish you would have done differently on that play, or is it just tough luck and the defense made a better play?
You can always sit there on a Sunday and with a remote in your hand, make judgments and things like that. There's things he'll learn on that play, but at the same time, it's hard to be super critical of someone in a situation like that on 4th down where they see a wide open end zone and they think they're getting ready to go, run the ball in there, which he's done several times before. So I don't want to overanalyze that, that particular play, but you're right. It was 4th down. Making that game 35-17 would have certainly helped us narrow the gap and made it more interesting. But that's just a great athlete competing his butt off.
Over to Sam.
Coach, what do you think it says about your defense that you're able to come away with 2 takeaways against obviously a top 15 opponent in LSU? And does that bode well for kind of the rest of the season and maybe winning the takeaway battle moving forward?
Yeah, well, that's part of our identities, pursue the ball, tackle the ball, take away the ball. And, we're always going to celebrate takeaways. And it's great to see our defense take the ball off of people. That's 2 weeks in a row. Really 3 weeks in a row. They've gotten, multiple takeaways. So we want to continue that pattern, continue that style of defense. There's other parts of the game, obviously, we can go back and correct or will correct. And there's some things that we need to correct, but that part of our defense, that personality, we want to continue to see.
And then obviously you guys have a dynamic kind of dual threat quarterback, but so does Arkansas State coming into this game. How do you game plan for a quarterback like Jalen Rahne and try to take something away from him?
Well, you got to make sure you've got eyes on him, people that are accountable, whether it's the read game, quarterback run game, +1 run game. You got to try to have another safety or somebody in there. And then you've got to make sure you're very controlled in your pass rush. You got to make sure that you're rushing the passer at even levels. You're not creating gaps and windows for people to escape through. It's a challenge. He's going to make plays. He's going to make some plays. I mean, you can't shut someone down like that, but you can make things more difficult for them by disciplined pass rush, some of the calls, coverage, those type of things. But, having someone dedicated to them, eyes in particular situations, those are the things we're going to have to get to.
And we'll go over to Adam. Adam?
Yeah, Coach Applewhite, I asked Coach Jones a similar question, but you guys are very familiar with your time at Alabama together, two plus seasons. Does that help you, respectfully, offensive minds? Does that help you in your game plan and expecting and knowing what could be coming at you? You see a formation lineup and you know how to sort of defend it or make a quick change, but just that familiarity factor, does that help you in a matchup like this?
It may a little. It may a little. You've been around the same type of offense for a couple of years together, and there's some similarities with what they do on offense, some things that we do, and there's some similar things there. But at the same time, he's been at his place for 3 years since Alabama, and I've been at my place for 3 years, and there's some things that have kind of, we've changed and added things here and little addendums there. So there's a lot of differences, but for the most part, there's some things that we can recognize. We see some similarities in each other, but for the most part, we've kind of grown, and terminology and things like that have changed.
And we'll go back over to Sam.
Coach, obviously a tough game this past week with LSU, but how do you kind of turn the page to get back into conference play and try to recapture some of that magic you guys had against App State in their conference opener?
Well, we just talked about going back to the things that are important to us, in terms of our preparation, mental focus, where that is early in the week, the things that we've hung our hat on, they're not going to change just because of a loss. Some of the things that we executed poorly, we need to fix, but the preparation and the process in which we get ready for a game isn't going to change. And we got to know that we're going into conference play, and this is a very good conference. This is a very difficult conference. This is a conference of, 7 to 10 point games week in and week out. It's the type of conference that anybody can beat anybody and anybody can lose to anybody. So you have to be on your P's and Q's all week and understand the game plan and not waste a single rep.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, guys.